Hey everybody, so today I'm going to be reviewing Game of Thrones Season 5, Episode 8, Hardhome. This episode was packed with just a bunch of amazing things, so get ready. Yeah, Jon Snow! So first of all, let's talk about Cersei. This episode starts out with Cersei again in the dungeon. This is such an amazing part of this series right now. The fact that she's actually locked up, because we have never seen her in trouble ever before. And now she is just stuck and there's no one that can really help her except for her little minion that seems to come and I don't even know really what he does anymore. But he comes and tries to talk to her. She tries to convince him, you know, that she needs to get out of there, that Tomlin needs to come see her. But you know what? Keep her in there for a while. You know what? I'm glad that she has to lick water off the floor. Good for her. Okay, so now what I want to talk about is the interaction between Daenerys, Tyrion, and Jorah. So we all know that Jorah's got his grayscale at this point, so it's kind of up in the air what I think is going to happen to him, because at some point he's probably just going to end up dying, but hopefully something good will come out of it. So Tyrion starts talking to Daenerys to try to win her over so that she doesn't kill him, you know, and he starts explaining the story of how he heard of a story of Daenerys whenever she was younger and how she's overcome all these things, and he wants to advise her, and somehow she just decides, okay, well, I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna let you advise me with everything, just based on the fact that he, I think, came up with the idea that he's a Lannister killer from killing both his mother, sort of, and then killing his father. Now, the question for me is, where is Varys? Like, by this point, I feel like he should already be in Marine. Granted that it took, you know, Jorah and Tyrion a while to, like, boat. They went on the boat over to the Valyria, and then they got, you know, snatched by the slave people and whatever. And by that time, I feel like Varys should already be in Marine. But maybe he is. Maybe we just don't know it yet. I don't know where he is, but that's something that I'll be looking forward to seeing what's going on. So, you know, that was obviously a really good scene. And I think it's important to note that Tyrion and Daenerys are really starting to work together. We'll have to see what, you know, comes of that. Mainly the reason I'm even doing this review is because I want to talk about the end of the episode where all the fighting and stuff goes on. So, you know, it's really neat how, you know, Jon Snow and then the wildling guy, they go talk to all of the wildlings, and he ends up killing the guy like straight there, and everyone just goes, oh, okay, that's fine. You know, they just kills the Lord of Bones guy, and then they go have a meeting about this. So I thought it was interesting that they actually did trust them pretty well right off the bat. That was neat. I really liked this new woman character who was one of the wildling women with the two daughters. I knew she was gonna die. I just knew it because, you know, they just foreshadow a lot, I feel like, in this series. And, you know, when she says goodbye to her daughters, you know that she's just not gonna make it through that. But so, you know, they start having the meeting, then they, you know, are starting to get people all packed up and whatever, and then all of a sudden, I don't know if it was like a mist, like maybe somebody else knows what exactly was going on with this, but like all of a sudden, you know, they trapped everybody behind the wall, and then all of a sudden it almost was like a little mist came up, and then everybody turned into zombies. And like, I don't really understand how that happened so fast. Maybe one of you guys have an idea about that. Leave that in the comments below. You know, then they all are fighting all these zombies, and I'm sorry, but this is the best scene ever with Jon Snow. I can't even believe that this happened. You know, he walks up to the little hut or whatever, and all of a sudden that White Walker guy comes out, you know, through that door, and it's like, whoa. And just like the coolest thing, yeah, he kills the one guy like real fast, you know, so it's like, okay, I don't really have an attachment to that guy. He was kind of a jerk about 5 minutes ago, so I really don't care about him that much. But you know what? This is just absolutely awesome, and that sword he has just destroys everything. And, you know, obviously they foreshadowed the sword right at the beginning of the episode, so I kind of had an idea what was going to go on. But, you know, that was just so cool. The guy's like fighting him. Jon can barely like stand up anymore, and there, right outside of that hut, he grabs that Valyrian steel sword and he just smashes this guy to pieces. And then I don't even know what the one guy, there's all these like different White Walkers, they all kind of look the same except for that like one main one, and he just was like blown away, it seems like, for, you know, by the fact that that even happened. So he actually realizes that there's probably some, you know, fighting that they're gonna have to do. But then you see all the zombies, they just fall off the cliff, and I honestly was like, are they just like committing suicide? Like, what's wrong with them? Like, what are they doing? I don't understand. Are they just falling off, or like, can they not get through something? Like, you know, what's going on? And then all of a sudden they just reanimate, and then they just come and attack everybody. And it's actually just a really sad scene too, because I feel like you weren't really expecting it that much. All of a sudden it's just so fast. You almost like don't even know what was happening at the beginning. You know, everything just happened really fast, and you almost like can't take it all in, and you're not expecting such a big scene all of a sudden, considering that they were just kind of trying to talk about, you know, how they were going to fight these guys later on. You know, they weren't expecting a fight right there. So that's just awesome. And I cannot believe that scene was just so cool. He just dominated. And then, you know, I have another comment. This is really funny. So whenever you're watching the end scene where they're all on the boat and they're all going away, and you have the zombies getting reanimated, and the big White Walker guys like lifting his arms up and all that stuff, and they pan out from, they pan onto the top, and the boat, you think that they'd be like rowing away from this situation. They're not even rowing. And whenever you see it, there's something like a little bit of space between the boat and the dock. And you think they're like way farther out, but then whenever you actually see where they place the boat in the scene, like when they pan out and whenever they look back at the shore or whatever, it's like they haven't even gone that far out. I mean, the zombies could take like 2 steps into the water, and then they would be able to get into the boat. So I'm not really sure if they planned that to be like they weren't supposed to be so far, but it seemed like they should have already been way farther out. And then we'll have to see why the zombies couldn't go in the water. Was it just like, oh, hey, you know, we dominated you, we're not going to come after you, you see what we can do? Or is it that there's actually a reason that they can't go in the water? So I really don't know, you know, how that's going to pan out. But now we really have a big threat, because they're going to have to prepare. And probably, I would expect that we probably won't see like a big fight again, maybe till like the season finale, or, you know, closer to the end of the season, just because I think that'll be the absolute end, and a lot of things are going to happen. So I was really afraid Jon Snow was going to die, but luckily he did not. He's one of my favorite characters. You know, we'll have to check back next week and see what happens. So I kind of just wanted to talk about what happened, and just like a few comments that I had for this episode, but I just couldn't believe how good it was. I didn't really want to delve into it too much. Yeah, this is kind of my first review of any sort of TV show. So if you'd like to see me talk about more for subsequent episodes or anything like that, I'm probably going to try to make another review of the rest of this season at least, and then maybe just go from there and see how this goes. Thanks for watching, and check back next week for another episode and review of the Game of Thrones episode 9 next week. So thanks for watching.